Hello, drummers. Gary Williams here, your Drumset Mastermind and the creator of the Drumset Artistry Mastermind group for drumset players. Glad you're a member of this group. This is an awesome group. Today, I'd like to talk about performance anxiety. This is something that I used to deal with when I was younger. I would get so nervous about performances that I really needed to be away from everybody just to conserve my energy and not really feel like, I was running the whole, the show in my mind and thinking about the tunes and all the things that I wanted to accomplish. But basically, I would avoid people sometimes because I was sort of panicking in private, being so freaked out about how the performance was going to go. Have you ever felt like this? Have you ever experienced something like this? I can remember when I started to get into doing performances, it was very difficult for me to even eat before the performance. I would have this physical sensation of butterflies in the stomach and just this anxious, nervous energy. I was very afraid of what people would say if I made a mistake. In fact, that was the biggest issue. Later, I realized I was just basically a perfectionist. A perfectionist is somebody that basically has their ego so wrapped up into what their performance sounds like that they can't really separate the difference between who I am as a person and who I am as a drummer. There was no separation for me. If I made one mistake in some concerts in college, I thought the whole concert was ruined. I was so uptight about playing perfectly. I didn't like the idea of anything going wrong. It was really difficult for a long time for me to do this. In fact, I remember getting so uptight about concerts that I would actually have to go home and take a nap. I really had to check out of my body, recalibrate, just get some time away from all the excitement, anxious, and nervous energy that I had. And usually if I did take a nap, I would come back refreshed, recharged, and the concert actually would go pretty well. Never as good as I wanted to do because I was always just like, everything has to be perfect. It was a real problem for me for a long time. And I mentioned in one of my other videos that I actually had ulcer symptoms. I actually went to the doctor and had a test. I didn't have an ulcer, but every time I would eat something, I get a stomach ache. That's to the level I got so wound up inside that it was just really difficult for me to just relax and have fun. Part of it was sometimes when you play in certain situations, my clients have experienced this. They've shared with me some of their frustrations that you sometimes don't get to play your own drum set. So that obviously is going to put you at a disadvantage. I know in school when I was doing jazz night concerts, we would use one drum set and then everybody had to play it. And I always used to get so frustrated by that because, you spent all this time on your instrument, getting comfortable with it, getting set up, getting tuned, and then you have to go off and play some really foreign instrument. It doesn't usually go as well as you want. So that can be a struggle. I can remember that I would be real nervous about how my pedal technique would go. A lot of nervous energy in my feet. For whatever reason, I just used to always get pretty anxious and it would affect my pedal technique. And I really wanted my shoes to grip the pedal. I always wore tennis shoes. And then when we do these concerts, sometimes you wear something different on your feet, like dress shoes, and then they would slip around. So I always had a towel and I'd wet it and wipe off my pedal and my shoe and then get that friction back. I had all these little things I would do to try to make sure that everything would go perfectly so I didn't have to feel like crap. My biggest fear was probably how I would feel about myself based upon people's reactions to how I played. I was really just so into this world of living based upon what everybody thought about me. I very insecure at the time, lacked confidence. I would always push myself to get into these situations. And the truth is I realized that I'm kind of an introvert. I'm a behind the scenes guy more than an out front person. I had a business advisor named Dom Famulero for a number of years, and he's an extremely extroverted gentleman, loves to be in front of people, tells jokes, really gets the crowd involved. And my dad was that way, and I was not that way. So whenever I go out on the stage, I had this idea that you had to be this like extroverted performer. I can remember my dad, who was an extrovert, being critical of me because I wasn't more flashy and doing stuff, and that I was always so serious and looking at the chart. which was true. I was very nervous about playing concerts in general, and especially got nervous when I played big band charts because there was all this information. You had to start here and end here, and you wouldn't want to get lost. And I could finally relax that process when I began to memorize the big band charts and play them like the great drummers like Louie Billson and Buddy Rich and Mel Lewis and a lot of these other players that didn't use music. They didn't need to. They had all the music in your head. Even with all the music in my head, it's still made me nervous because maybe I would get choked up and maybe I would drop a stick, and sometimes my hands would get sweaty. And I went through a period where I would like try what would I put on? Like some baby powder to dry them up. I even, sanding the stick shafts. It didn't seem to matter. I mean, it was coming from in here. It was an issue I had with wondering how people were going to judge me if I made a mistake. So this is something my clients deal with. I hear about this from various clients when they get into a performance situation and things don't go right. Maybe you can't hear very well in addition to playing on somebody else's drum set. Maybe you're rushed to set up and you can't really have time to get everything configured. That's a big problem. And again, all these things, all the structural things that you want to have really nailed down, those are all great, but then the performance happens and things go different. Now, since then, I've overcome a lot of these things, and I've been able to help many of my clients with working on the inner game of drumming, where they can understand their ways in which they're thinking about things that are causing this sort of private panic attack that they have about performing. So if you are interested in making this kind of shift now, then you should private message me so I can help you. There is so much information that I've had to go through on an inner personal level to make it possible for me to play on an outer drumming level that I've become very clear about. I could not be playing the drums to the level I am today if I didn't process some of these inner issues that I had. Some of them have more than others, but I know that we all have our own little panic attacks at some point in life for various reasons. So anyways, I'm hoping this kind of inspires you to think about, are you ready to kind of dig into that stuff inside? I hope so, because I can help you with that. So get a hold of me and we will work together. If we can make ourselves have a good vibrational match, I would love to be of assistance to you in overcoming some of your performance anxieties and, of course, anything else in your drumming that you would like to improve. Until I see you next Monday at 2:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, hang in there, keep practicing, be nice to yourself, and tune into the group for more insights and lots of great information, because it's a great community and there's all kinds of things to learn. So we'll see you soon. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.